Hi, and welcome back to GradLife, the YouTube series where I talk about my life post-graduation. Today we are talking about the work-life balance, which is hands down the most important thing I have learnt as a graduate. It consumed my life for a good 8 months, which is super unhealthy, and there was even a point where I worked a month and a half without having a single day off because I wanted the money and I needed the overtime, which, fun fact, by the time I had worked all those overtime hours and got my paycheck, I'd actually gone into the next tax bracket and I earned less money than I would have earned if I'd just worked my regular hours, which, was super fun to learn. Learn from my mistakes. I was a wreck. I didn't have time for a life outside of work, and I also couldn't afford a life outside of work, although I really could. My anxiety told me I couldn't, and I believed it, but anyway, I really honed in on the idea of the starving artist and thought, okay, if I put my head down and just pay my dues, everything will be fine. And that's just a stupid mentality to have. About a year into this madness, I got really sick, which ended up with a trip to the hospital where I found out that I just wasn't looking after myself properly. And it was really embarrassing because it was literally like a doctor telling me, a grown woman, you're not drinking water, you're not eating right, you're not exercising, and you don't have a sleeping pattern. And that just all came together and my body literally gave up. This was obviously a very big wake-up call for me, and I knew I needed to do something about it. So I did what could be called a life stock take. I'm a list person, so I made a list of every aspect of my life I could think of. So that was everything from work, relationships, family, health, finances, hobbies, any aspect of my life really, and I listed down how much time in an average week I would spend doing those things. What were my goals in those areas of my life and what was I doing to achieve them? And none of this is like a scientific, evidence-based planning situation. It was just a way to get an objective overview of where I was spending my time and where my priorities were and what I needed to change in order to become a healthier, well-rounded person. Obviously, no surprise, the main thing that needed to change was I needed to spend less time at work. And the only way feasibly this was going to happen was I needed to be paid more money to work less hours, which is a big ask. But I decided if I didn't try, it would never happen. So I organised a meeting with my boss, I explained the situation, and he ended up giving me a big enough pay rise that I could cut my hours back to my regular 40-hour week and still earn enough money to, live. So it won't work for everyone, but take my story as an example that miracles do happen. Paying off my debts and progressing to a higher position really calmed me down. I stopped agreeing to overtime that was for anything other than a real emergency, and I just started my life again. I went back to my hobbies, I expanded my circle of friends, I visited my family more, I went on holiday, and all of these things couldn't have happened unless I had done that stock take and realised that I was neglecting those areas of my life. And I just continued doing all that stuff until I started feeling that panic come back and I did the stock take again. I've learnt that having a yearly stock take is how I'm going to effectively minimise my risk of burning out. It gives me an opportunity to see where my time is going and where I might want to use it better. In my last stock take, I realised I was literally spending hours a day on social media, which is really stupid when you consider I was getting annoyed because I didn't have enough time to read anymore. Self-care in the creative industries is so easily forgotten because the creative industries is where you're supposed to love your craft and your job so much it doesn't feel like work, which is just not true. It does feel like work because it's your job and it is work. It's not as easy to switch off from a creative job as to say a 9-to-5 job, because when you're working from home at odd hours of the day, you never leave the office. You're just here all the time. And figuring out when to switch off and just learning how to actually do it is really difficult. This is why I can't recommend enough taking note of where and how you are spending your time. If you would like to delve into this further, I really recommend reading The Comparison Cure by Lucy Sheridan. Whilst the aim of this book isn't work-life balance, it really helped me in figuring out where I was putting my time and what goals I had outside of work and how I was going to achieve them. I hope you guys liked this video. As usual, if you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up and remember to check out the rest of the GradLife series here on the UCA YouTube channel. I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you guys around. Bye!